What's up? What's up? What's up? It's Cayman Wolf, the Decrepit Gamer. We're back for another episode of Project Ravenloft. We're building Castle Ravenloft, the classic Castle Ravenloft from the famous i6 Dungeons and Dragons tabletop module from back in the 80s. If you're an old school gamer like me, you definitely remember this module. And we're building it in Minecraft, and the plan is to build an entire server around Castle Ravenloft, an entire Ravenloft world. And it's very exciting. And so we're on episode 10 here, guys, and virtually all of the brickwork has been done. In other words, the castle structure has been complete. You know, we've got a castle there. So now we're starting to add functionality, and that's very exciting and it's very fun. And so in this episode, what we're doing is we're adding some functionality to enable the castle doors and the castle gates to function. So in a lot of places, we're not using standard doors that you get in the Minecraft building block set. We're building big castle doors and big gates out of planks and various materials. And so today what we're doing is we're going in and using a combination. We're using various techniques that we're going to look at today. We're using structure blocks and command blocks and redstone and scripting and native vanilla Minecraft functions, and even use carpet script a little bit before I ended up pulling it out of there. And I explain why in this episode. So let's just jump right into it, guys, because this is really exciting functionality that we're adding here, and it's just going to get more and more juicy. It's just going to get better and better going forward. So here we go. In my last video, back in episode 9, I made a pretty big deal of the fact that I was moving this world off of the Eterno server and onto my local machine so that I could install some scripting mods. Specifically, I would love to install Cube.js. I can't do that because it's too far behind in terms of the version that it supports. And then Carpet. So I've installed Carpet, and Carpet is what I intend to use. So I made a pretty big deal out of the fact that I was going to leverage scripting instead of Redstone and Redstone components like pistons and things like that. And that is true, but I think, and I may have actually mentioned this in my last video, but I think it bears repeating. I think for these things out here in the courtyard, this portcullis right here, this door on this carriage house, this horse stable out here, maybe even the drawbridge in the front portcullis and this portcullis in the rear. I think for these things on the outside here, I think I'm going to do these with structure blocks and command blocks and redstone. And the reason that I'm going to do that is because although I maintain that I don't really believe that that's the right way to build this stuff for an adventure server like this. I mean, it doesn't hurt anything. There's nothing wrong with doing it that way, except for I don't think it's the best way because, like I mentioned in the last video, if you want to make a change to something, if you're doing it with a script, you just change the script. If you're doing it with redstone and redstone components, you have to go dig up a whole bunch of stuff and make a whole bunch of physical changes in your world, rewire things with redstone and make physical changes to change the way things work. So I think scripting is the right way to go. So why am I going to do these out here with redstone? Well, the reason is because I'm pretty new to this. Honestly, I've never really worked with structure blocks or redstone or anything before, and command blocks and all of that. I'm pretty new to to Minecraft in general. I mentioned that I am in the software development field. I have been a developer for many years, and more recently I manage developers. I'm not in the code so much myself professionally, but never in the gaming space. That is to say that I'm not intimidated by the idea or the concept of it, but I'm new to it. And so I want to learn how Minecraft behaves with redstone and with redstone components and with functionality that is exposed to builders versus coders. And so basically what I want to do is just understand have a better understanding of what I'm coding against. And so I've gone ahead and built this functionality out with redstone. So this lever right here operates both of these guys at the same time, and that's done with this circuit that I've got down here. this redstone actually runs down here to an inverter and powers these two gates. It splits right here and it powers these two gates. It uses an inverter because I want the lever to open the gates instead of closing the gates. So super simple circuit, you know, for people that build with redstone. I've done some Googling and some reading and watching some videos and things like that. And I respect how extraordinarily complex these redstone machines can be. I mean, I've seen people do amazing, absolutely amazing things. I don't intend to take it that far. Things that are complex. My intention is to do it with carpet or some sort of scripting mod, but we're just going to see how that goes. And then out here, I've got these wired up. These are spruce planks. These are buttons here. The buttons are decorative. They're not functional. The lever operates this thing. And then this is done with this circuit here. This just uses a lever that provides constant power when it's on. And so I've got an inverter right here so that when it's on this circuit, this circuit is off. And when it's off, this circuit is on. And so that just basically, I've got two different structure blocks here that are storing the state of this structure over here, which is the door. And then I've got two command blocks here that just play the sound with the play sound command here. And then with a relative position to play the sound from the location of the door over there. So that's all this is really doing. And that's all I really plan on doing with redstone and structure blocks, is just building some really simple circuits to just kind of use them a little bit and get just a very baseline level of familiarity with them before I start doing things with scripting. That's my plan right now. Anyway, you never know when things are going to change, but that's my current plan. For these castle gates here at K2, the courtyard gates that divide the front part of the courtyard from the back part of the courtyard, these are those big iron gates. And they look like this. If you remember, I had left some space up here so that I could, if I chose to, use like a piston mechanism that would actually lift the physical gate up into the wall. I don't think I'm going to do it that way. I think what I'm going to use is structure blocks, like I did on the carriage house door. And what I want is I want a control on both sides of the gate that will toggle the state of the gate. Either if it's closed, it'll open it, and if it's open, it'll close it. I want that to be either a lever or a button. I would rather it be a lever, but right now I'm using a button. And a button sends a pulse. And so what I need is a circuit that has two stable states that can switch states when it receives a pulse. And I played around out here on the courtyard ground, putting together different circuits with redstone. I have some level of familiarity with some common circuits, and the kind of circuit I was looking for right here was called a bistable multivibrator, more commonly known in computer science parlance, and I've come to discover in Minecraft redstone circuitry parlance as a flip-flop or a T flip-flop. And I had actually successfully wired one of those up, but it was huge. It was very, very large. It took up much more space than I really wanted it to. I needed it to be much smaller. It needs to at least fit inside these castle walls here, which I know is still a lot of space, but I was happy to have come up with a design for one, but I needed something smaller, and so I went and looked around on YouTube. I understand that this is a very common design, so if there's any builders that are watching this video, you're like, oh yeah, okay, yeah, that you're using that. I use that everywhere, But yeah, so this is what I'm using. So this uses a mechanical device here. My original desire was to just use nothing but torches, maybe things like comparators or whatever, but just something that equated to purely electrical components and not mechanical components. But I just needed something that takes up less space, and this mechanical component right here takes up serves the purpose of a large area of redstone and comparators and whatnot, and serves the same purpose. And so I'm using this mechanical device right here that I found on several videos, but it just basically takes advantage of a quirk of Minecraft Java Edition, where if this sticky piston right here receives a very short pulse, the pulse doesn't last, throughout the entire cycle of the piston operating. The sticky piston will drop, or what they call spit out its block. And so it effectively toggles the position of this block right here, this wool block. It's either, I press it once and it's in this position. I press it again, it's in this position. And so that's it. It's basically achieves something that is in two stable states. And so you put this redstone torch right here, and when this block is over that redstone torch, and it's powered, and when it's not, then then this redstone right here is not powered. And so what I did was right here is I put a redstone torch on this side to act as an inverter. So when the block is in this position here, this redstone is powered, because this redstone is not powered because this is an inverter. So in one position, that redstone is powered, and in the other position, that redstone is powered. And so what that's going to allow me to do is power my structure blocks. It's going to change the state of this gate. So let's go ahead and do that. I've got a structure block here that I've got set as a corner structure block called gate left close. I say left because I'm going from the front of the castle, and this is the one that's on the left side because this is the front of the castle over here. So I've got one corner structure block down here called gate left close, one corner structure block up here called gate left closed. And so that defines the two corners of the area of the structure that I want to capture. So I don't think it matters so much which side of this contraption I put the open state and the closed state on. I believe what's going to happen is that's going to determine what state the gate is in when the module first loads. Probably doesn't matter that much. So I'm going to go ahead and put the closed state over here on this side. So the way you use these structure blocks is I've got those corner structure blocks in place and I've got them named. So here I'm going to give this structure block the same name, gate left closed. And then I'm going to put this structure block in save mode, and I'm going to click detect. And what that's going to do is it's going to let me know that it successfully detected the structure that it's looking for. And you see how it's defined that with those lines around it right there. It's letting me know, hey, this is the structure that I've detected that you're trying to save. So that looks correct. So now when it saves that structure, it's going to save the relative position. And what that allows me to do is when I reload the structure, I can actually reload it into different places in the world. But this relative position here is relative to where I currently have the structure block placed. So I'm going to save this structure block. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over to this side and do the exact same thing. Except for now, I'm going to go up here and rename my corner structure blocks to gate left open. Rename that one to gate left open. Rename that one to gate left open. Now this structure block I'm going to name gate left open. I'm going to set it as a save structure block. I'm going to detect, and yes, it has successfully detected that structure. So now let's destroy all of the iron bars, except let's not destroy all of the iron bars. Let's leave some of the iron bars in place to represent the fact that that there is an iron gate there that's just been partially lifted by this mechanism. So then let's save that structure by going over here and clicking save on our structure block. So now that See the message down there that says that was saved as Minecraft gate left open. So now let's go over here. Let's test this by going over here and going to our Minecraft gate left close structure block and clicking load. And there we go. We loaded the closed structure block, the closed gate structure block. Now let's go over here and test it by clicking the load button on the gate left open structure block, and boom, there we go. All right, so now when I alternate the redstone pulse between these two structured blocks, it should open and close the gate. Let's get rid of that bounding box around the structure. So when I click the button, yep, closes the gate and opens the gate. Beautiful. You do hear, with this particular design, you do hear that piston being operated there. I have mixed feelings about that. In this particular case, I think maybe it's okay, because what you're hearing is the mechanism inside the wall that's operating the gate, and I think that's probably fine, because there is a mechanism inside the wall that's operating the gate. But I did see that there were some common designs out there for a T flip-flop like this that are more silent. But I think in this particular case, this one is probably okay. The next thing that we're going to want is the actual gate closing and opening to play a sound. So what I'm doing there is I've got this command block that I've put next to the structure block. The structure block will pass this redstone signal through to the command block. And inside the command block, I'm executing this command, play sound, Minecraft block, iron door open. I'm just using the iron door sound for the iron gate right now. I think ultimately what I will end up doing is having a resource pack that has some probably better sounds for a large iron portcullis, slowly rolling open and closed. And but for right now, we're just going to use the iron door sounds for iron door open and iron door close. And then what we're doing is we're playing it from a block. We're playing the sound to all players, and we're playing it at a fixed location, not a relative location. So I could put this command block anywhere and it would play the sound from the correct location for this portcullis. I'm setting the command block to play impulse, which means it only plays once when it receives a signal. It plays the sound unconditionally, and it plays when it receives a redstone signal. So let's test that. So we've got the iron door open sound that should fire when the iron door opens. There we go. Let's close it again, which is not going to make a sound. Now let's open it. There we go. Now over on this side, I've done the exact same thing, except for this command block is playing the iron door close sound. So let's test that out. Yep. Open, closed. Awesome. Another thing to point out here is I've got I've got the button on both sides, and they're both wired to the same redstone circuit here. You see how they come together right there? So either button will do the exact same thing. So I just tried to replace these buttons with levers that would reset themselves back to the off position after activating them. And one thing that I suspected about Redstone all along, and I'm really beginning to feel and understand, is that it's fucking weird, man. It's weird, and oftentimes just infuriating the way it works. This is just conjecture on my part, but I suspect that what is going on here is that originally Minecraft was not designed with the idea of redstone in mind at all. And like I said, purely conjecture. If I'm wrong, please correct me in the comments. I'm guessing here. Matter of fact, let's just have a conversation about it in the comments. But it seems like Minecraft was not designed originally with Redstone in mind, and the entire concept was just sort of retrofitted into an existing framework. And in that regard, I think they probably did a pretty respectable job of making it work, but certainly not the way that I think it would work if the game were designed originally with Redstone in mind. Because what I'm finding to be the case is very often designs that intuitively just seem like they would just work. I mean, they just make perfect sense. And then there's some weird quirk of Redstone that makes them not work. And then you have to go through all of these contortions to try to make a design that seems like it should have worked in the first place actually work. And for every little correction that you make, or for every little additional piece of functionality that you have to put in place to make something work, because Minecraft is entirely block based with these big 1 meter blocks, every little thing that you add just takes a massive amount of additional space inside your build. And so it's infuriating. And so what I'm going to do is I'm gonna abandon the idea of the levers right here. I feel like I could have gotten them working, but it's just requiring a lot of mental contortions, and it's either going to require a lot of research to find an existing design that already works, or just a lot of infuriating trial and error on my part to find something that actually works. And then I've got such a limited amount of space that I'm working with here inside these walls and under this ground, because there's a subterranean level here below me that's not that far down there. So I don't, I've just got limited space to work with here. And I feel like I'm just going to just waste a lot of time trying to get something that works. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to just stick with the buttons, because that's working pretty good. I like that. I'm happy with that. I'm just going to go ahead and wall this back in. I'm going to do the same thing over on the other side. And then when I start looking at the scripting, I may just replace this entire contraption here with a carpet script. So for right now, I'm going to just go ahead and wall this back in, and then test it again and just make sure that it still works once I finish that. These chiseled tough bricks right here, these ones that look different that I use to denote the lines on the graph paper, like on the actual physical map, they kind of surface when they run right up against the edge of a castle wall. So they were kind of used as an interior and exterior space. That's going to all be replaced. So I'm just going to go ahead and do this little section right now, since I'm working on this castle, on this wall anyway. And there we have it, a working gate. Now I'm going to do the other side and then move on to something else. I like to keep these videos centered around a theme, around a particular level that I'm building of the castle, or a section that I'm building of the castle, or some sort of functionality that is tied together by some sort of theme. For that reason, sometimes a lot of time passes between one of these clips where I'm showing a state of the build and another. And that's the case here. I've not recorded any footage for several days now, because I've just been doing a lot of reading and a lot of experimenting. And so since the last clip, I've decided to make some changes in the way that I'm doing things here. And the first thing is that I have, at least for now, abandoned carpet. And not that I don't enjoy carpet, and not that I don't think that carpet is a great mod and a great scripting solution for Minecraft. I do. I really do. And I really would like to use it, but I also would like to keep my world on Exoraton. I think that's how you pronounce that. It's just the server that I've chosen. And I really like those guys. I like their business model. I feel like they're an exception to the norm of money hungry corporate greed when it comes to software and software as a service. They only charge for the time that you use. They don't charge a flat monthly fee, and their prices are very reasonable, and their user interface is great, and they're just a good service. And I'd really like to continue to use them. And also, I want my server to have all of the functionality that it needs, but I don't want to go overboard with customization where I don't need to. In other words, wherever possible, I want to keep things as close to vanilla as I can, just for compatibility and to keep things simple for people who might want to play, who might not be very proficient in downloading client-side mods and things like that. So I have figured out how to get all of my doors and everything to operate with just vanilla functions instead of having to use a scripting solution. And it's working out pretty well. And so that's what I'm going to do. And I am going to continue to use Redstone in a couple of places just for the experience of using it, and just so that I can say that I have a little bit of it in here. But for the most part, I think I'm going to use this vanilla scripting solution, and I'll show you how that works now. So I've got some script, some functions built that enable this big main door right here. See, so when I flip this lever, it opens that door, and then I've got one inside here that will close it. I think you can hear the sound effect that I've got there. Well, I plan on adding a resource mod that will add a sound effect that is not a canned Minecraft sound effect. I'd rather just stay with the vanilla out of the box Minecraft stuff where I can, but I just feel the sound effects are a little weak. And there's definitely going to be some places where I'm going to need to add some. So I'll just go ahead and add some sound effects for the doors and things like that when I get to it. Not right now. That will come later. So right now I'm just using canned sound effects. But anyway, that's the castle gate working right there. And here, this door doesn't use the levers. This door uses, I'm calling these door handles. They're actually buttons, but they're just sort of simulating the presence of door handles on these big double doors. So you interact with the buttons, and that will open and close the doors. And this enables me to have these nice big double doors that I wanted on my castle. So what I was saying in a couple of my previous videos was I was holding off on implementing the doors because I wanted some form of standardization. I didn't want every door to look different. I wanted them to kind of all, I mean, not every door be the same, but I wanted there to be some consistency in the design of the castle. And so I've gone with this design because right now I feel like it's nice enough looking. It looks like something that might be inside of a castle, and it fits nicely into these 20-foot wide spaces that have these double doors inside of them. I'm going to implement one here for the video just to show how this works. I've got some torches on the wall here to just for lighting. These are going to go away. This is just to light up the area so that I can see. But this is what I had in place just temporarily. This was never going to be what the door looked like. So I'm going to go ahead and implement the door now with some vanilla Minecraft functions. So the first thing I'm going to do is just go ahead and tear all of this down. Now I'm going to make the door frame the size that it needs to be. So this door here has been captured in two different states inside of a structure block. which stores the structure data inside of an NBT file out there in the Minecraft file structure. So you can see that right here. Yeah, so under my saves folder, under the world, there is a folder called generated, and then under that Minecraft, and then under that structures, and this is where it saves all of the data that it captures when you capture something into a structure block. So these can be called up with a function, specifically with the place function. And that sort of standardized door that I'm going to be using in a number of places throughout the castle is this one right here. Door DBL for double, door double close, and door double open out. And the reason I call it open out is because there may be a circumstance, and I was thinking about doing it here, but there may be a circumstance where I close the thing, where I open the thing in two different directions. Like I say out for outward, and then, you know, maybe in for inward. I haven't done that yet, but I am using a naming convention that's leaving that open as a possibility. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to come over here and I'm going to stand in what I think is the correct place. And then I'm going to run the place command to place that template of that double door. And it's called door double close. And then I'm going to use my own coordinates because I'm standing in what I think is the right place, and hopefully that's correct. And yes, it appears to be. Oh, we didn't capture this part of the door frame up here, so let's go ahead and just put that in place. And let's just go ahead and break through the door here so we can get to the other side, because we've got to put the scripting in place to open it. And this is how the scripting works. I've got a tick function here that runs on every tick, and all that happens on this tick function is there's a lot of checks that are made as to the state of the various controls that control the doors. It looks like a lot of code here that runs on tick, but it's really not. I mean, it is, but each of these lines of code does virtually nothing. I mean, when a check fails in terms of resources, each line is very, very, very cheap. So the onTick function takes up very few resources, and I've got it all separated out by remarks according to which door is being checked on each tick. So we've got the carriage door for the horse and carriage for the carriage house outside. We've got the rear gate, the front door, the entrance door, the dining room door. This door right back here is K8 to K14, which I'm standing in here. And now I'm going to add another one, and we're going to call this the chapel door. Let's call this chapel interior. All right. And this is code that's going to run when the door is closed. So this is just a comment. The pound sign there denotes comments. And this check is going to be for the interior right handle. To make things easier for ourselves, let's just copy an existing line of code here. Paste that in. So this line is saying to execute this function if the block located at this position is a birch button whose state is powered true, which means that it's pressed. So let's figure out what this position is. This was copied from the previous line of code. So let's figure out what it needs to be for this line of code. Okay, this is the interior right. What I mean by if interior right is if you're standing on the interior side of the door, the side that's closest to the heart of the castle, the inside of the castle, you're facing the door, and then you look to the right, and that's the birch button that we're getting. So what we're doing right now is we're standing on the very square that this birch button is occupying, and we're going to hit F3 and get the coordinates for this block. So that's 217, 128, negative 11, 457. 217. 128 is the block that my lower body is occupying. So the birch button is at the height of my upper body, so that's going to be 129. And then negative 11, 457. So if this block at this coordinate is a birch button whose state is powered, then we're going to run this function, and we're going to pass it these parameters. And the function we're going to want to run here is a standard function that I've created that accepts some parameters, so I can just use the same function over and over again in any place where this double door is being used. And that function is door double open. Then we're going to pass it these parameters. We don't know what these parameters are going to be yet, so let's find that out. The first set of parameters here, X, Y, and Z, this is the location at which to spawn that template. So it spawns from the corner, so it's going to spawn from that very same position in which I was standing when I placed it earlier. So that's this position right here. So we are at block 216, 128, negative 11, 461. 216, 128, negative 11, 461. And then the second set of parameters here, SX, SY, and SZ, this is the position from which the sound plays when the door is opened and closed. So let's figure out what that is. I like to play that sound from the very center of the door at chest height to the players. So let's just go stand right there so we get a very precise number. We are standing on block 218, 128, negative 11458. So SX is 218, SY is 129 because we want that to play at chest height, and SZ is negative 11458. So if you want to see what this function looks like, it's right here. It's super stupid simple. It's just a place command that places the template called Minecraft door double open out. We just saw me execute this command to put this door here in a closed state at the end of the hallway, except for I was calling door double closed instead of door double open out. And then we're passing it the coordinates of the parameters which were passed into the function by the tick function when we called it. And then this right here is just saying no rotation, no mirroring, 100% integrity, and zero randomization so that all the blocks spawn. And then strict is saying don't break the blocks from the previous structure, just put these in place. That way we don't get residual buttons laying on the ground and things like that. We don't get the sound and the debris of the breaking blocks and all that kind of stuff. And then of course the next command is the play sound command, which says to play the sound to all players from this location that we passed in. So now let's just put these blocks back right here. Let's reload our world so that we pick up the new version of the on-tick script. And let's test it. Oh, okay, I was expecting the door to open, so let's see what we did wrong here. Okay, here it is. I was calling a function called door double open. Remember I said this function is called door double open out because I want the possibility of having a function that opens the door inward. Reload the game. And let's try again. And there we go. So now you see why I have all of these lines for each door, because this check needs to be made for each button, for each handle. Unfortunately, there's not a logical and or logical or operator in Minecraft functions. If you're doing an or, you just have to call the line twice. And if you're doing an and, you just have to put two if statements on the same line. So that's just the way that you have to do ands and ors in Minecraft functions. So I won't belabor this video by sitting here scripting all 4 buttons. Instead, let's just go out here and talk about what we're doing with the rest of the doors. So these gates here, I'm going to leave these as redstone. Redstone works fine for these. And it just gives me an opportunity to get a little experience with redstone. So I've already built the logical gate that's used to hold the 2 different states for the gate to be opened and closed. This over here, the carriage house was initially done with redstone. See this lever right here is connected to some redstone down there, and the redstone does work. But I'm not going to do it that way. I just left it this way to talk about it on the video here for a second. I'm not going to do it this way because, I mean, this stuff just, this redstone, I mean, it just takes up a lot of space. It's difficult to hide. I just find it difficult to work with, guys. I just do. I think it's awesome that redstone is in here, because if you have a purely survival world and you're in here playing as a player, not as a world builder where you're building a game for other people to play, but you're playing yourself, redstone is a way for you to build some really cool, elaborate contraptions in your world as if you're actually building those contraptions out of, you know, actual machinery and actual redstone power, you know, electricity, whatever. But just in terms of a manageable, maintainable world that you're building for somebody else, like an adventure world, I mean, scripting is really the way to go. So I'm going to remove this redstone. Not right now, but eventually I will. And I'll remove this lever right here. This is already handled via a script, and it's basically the same script as I was using for that other, for my other castle door, where the script is fired by all four of these handles. Let's just call them door handles here. This is redstone, and it will continue to be redstone. So I've got redstone wired up to make this one lever operate both of these gates here, so that it's a double gate. This over here was what I was talking about. To wire these two levers together with redstone, with the way they're located, one is on one side of the gate, the other's on the other side of the gate. I was just finding that to be problematic to try to do that with redstone. With a script, it was very easy. So I've got, whenever you flip one of these levers, it not only does it lift the gate, but it puts the other lever in the same state. So if you watch that one over there, see how it went up, and then it goes down and goes up. You know, it stays in the same state, keeps them in the same state. The drawbridge isn't done yet. I've got some work to do there, because I've got to work on this side of the let's call it moat or chasm or whatever, as well as the other side, so that the drawbridge has a place to come down. And I probably am going to want to add some animation, not just to the drawbridge, but to the gates and things like that as well. Probably initially, I'm just going to have the drawbridge in two states. Either it's down or it's up. So the drawbridge and the portcullis will operate together. But then I think eventually what I'm going to want to do is have, along with some much better sound effects and what's available in Minecraft, have some animation that shows this drawbridge kind of coming down over a period of, maybe half a dozen frames. Have it kind of slowly come down, or not slowly, but, relatively slowly over half a dozen or so frames, along with some sort of dramatic sound of the drawbridge lowering and then boom, it crashes into the ground. I think that would be cool. And then this portcullis back here will open at the same time. Oh, and then the other big door I've got here is the dining room door. This is kind of a dramatic place for the in the module. This is where the characters first encounter Strad, and this is supposed to be a pretty cool encounter here. So a couple of things I'm going to do. I'm going to brighten this area up here so that we give the illusion that these chandeliers are a lot brighter than they are. As a matter of fact, I may just go ahead and do that. I keep talking about that. I may just go ahead and do it. Let's use World Edit, and let's say, let's choose that brick there in the upper left corner, this one down here in the lower right corner as our first and second positions. And then let's say, replace air with light. Boom. Now this place is very well lit up, and that light should pour out into the Yeah, see that light pours out into the hallway there. Might actually be a little too bright. And let's say replace light with light level equals, I think 15 is the brightest, so let's say 10. There we go. I think that's a little better. That's still very well lit for a vampire's castle. And I feel like that is giving the impression that these chandeliers are casting a lot more light than they actually are. And I'm going to go ahead and take these work torches down here. And I'm going to go ahead and fill this wall back in here where I had knocked it down so I could easily get into here. This is not supposed to be a door back here. So when we carry our own torch, this is what the players will see when they're in here. Nice spooky staircase right there. Nice brightly lit dining area. There's going to be an organ here blocking this secret door that, using that same technique of structure blocks and some sort of trigger, I will give the characters the ability to move the organ so that they can look back here and find the secret door. Okay, guys, what I'm going to do now is go through here and finish putting all of the non-standard and standard doors throughout all of the rooms of my castle. I'm going to work on this drawbridge over here. I thank you very much for your viewership. I hope you're enjoying Project Ravenloft. If you're interested in alpha access to the server, let me know. The link to my Discord is in the description. Just go out to my Discord, shoot me a message, and I'll whitelist you as soon as I put this build out there on the server. This is Cayman Wolf, the Decrepit Gamer, reminding you that you are never too old to game. And for right now, my friends, I am out of here.